A very, very blessed and beautiful Thursday indeed. Another day that the Lord has made. I am so excited. I am so honored and privileged to be back with you once again on this beautiful episode of Living Precepts with me, your host, Naomi Wesi. As you know, I always specialize in bringing you beautiful, powerful guests, especially on Thursdays. I normally bring you great, great authors so that we can hear what they have to offer, the new work that they are doing. And today, I am so privileged to be having one of those great authors with me right here on the screen, and she goes by the name of Dr. K. What an honor, what a privilege. She's going to be telling us about her new book that she has recently written called The Life with a NAS. Life with a NAS. And if you don't know what NAS stands for, it's narcissist. So basically, the book talks about a life with a narcissist. So we'll be talking about that book just now as she's coming in, as I'm introducing you to her. But I think it will be better if she tells you a bit more about herself, since it is the first time she comes here on Africa USA Radio. Hello, Dr. K.
Hello, killer.
How are you, my sweetie?
I'm blessed. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah. I'm so honored. I'm so privileged to have you today on my show for the very first time here on Africa USA Radio. How does it feel like?
Thank you for the warm welcome. I look forward to just being with you in the space.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to having you. I'm also looking forward to hearing more about this great, amazing book that you have just written, that you have just released called Life with a Nas. Life with a Narcissist. Hey, what a title.
Hey, hey, hey.
I also love the caption under it where you say, what a bondage.
Yeah, it is a really bondage.
Yeah, what a bondage. So simply, life with a narcissist is actually bondage. And most people don't know about this life that you're talking about. And you're going to get to educate us more today about this life, with a narcissist, as you personally have been through it. You are speaking from something that you have personally experienced. But before we get into the book and what it's all about, I just want you to give us a brief background of who Dr. K really is, especially for those of our listeners who are hearing you from the very first time. Who is Dr. K? Where do you hail from? And what is something interesting that you would like our listeners and our viewers to know about you?
Well, Dr. K is Dr. Katleho Matlatleho, but she's known as Dr. K. She completed a PhD in 2017 at the University of Pretoria. She's
Mm.
also a pastor. She went to Bible school at CFCI Bible College. Currently doing masters in divinity because she's pretty much
Wow.
she's pretty much enticed with theology. So this is who she is. On a daily basis, she is in the academic space. She lectures undergraduate students. She supervises postgrad students, honors, masters, and PhD students in the field of biochemistry. Beyond that, she also does motivational speaking, where she gets invited at various events to motivate and encourage people on whatever topics, but with more interest on mental health issues. So as a result of being a mental health activist, I'm currently being trained as a logotherapist as well. So in the nutshell, this is who I am. I am a mother of two boys, age 1 and 13. I'm a born again Christian. I love the Lord, and it's who I live for. And I push for purpose on a daily basis. Be in it in any space that I'm given. I I push the gospel. So
Wow.
that's who Dr. K is.
Wow. Wow. You sound like a very, very power-packed woman. You sound like a very learned woman. Hence, you are a doctor yourself. I mean, at such a young age. And I'm sure you are very passionate about studying as well, right?
Yeah, it's encrypted in me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because there's no way you could have reached the level that you are at now, having a PhD, young as you are. Yeah, I don't want to ask your age, but obviously people can tell that you are very young. Maybe you may not feel comfortable disclosing your age, but you look very young. You look very young.
I'm approaching 40.
Listen to you. You are not even yet 40. You are not even yet 40, but you are a doctor. You have a PhD. That shows how ambitious you are and how passionate you are with what you do actually. And you are so faceted, Dr. K. You are so many things, and I'm wondering, how do you get to balance all these different roles in your life, being a doctor, being a pastor, being all of these things? Now you've even done MD, right? Are you currently doing
I'm
MD?
currently doing it, yes.
And by the way, do you know that my late dad also did Master of Divinity?
Yeah, and that's the man who actually took me through my premarital counseling.
Yes, yes. He also happened to have Master of Divinity. He studied Master of Divinity in the US. So when you said that, it just took me back. It took my memories to him. Him possessing that degree. But how are you able to balance all those roles, if I may ask?
I think what enables me to have a balance is being driven by purpose, and
Mm,
then trying my best to give each and everything that I'm doing in my life the best of me, because
sure.
the idea is to be present in whatever that I do. When
Mm,
I'm when I'm at work, I give the best that I can be. Then when I'm at home, I become the best that I can be to my children. So I think the idea is, when purpose is the number one motivation, then you do get a balance. I don't know how, but I can only give the credit to God, because that's how I find the strength to do all of this.
mm. Yeah, yeah. But do you find all these roles connecting to each other in such a way that it
Definitely,
becomes easier for you to actually, be able to maneuver around them easily?
yes, definitely. Each is connected to every one of it is connected. And I believe the scripture that says all things work together for good.
Mm,
It all works out for good.
sure,
It all
sure.
works towards purpose.
Mm. What are some of the challenges that you've encountered as a woman, learned as you are, as a doctor, and occupying all these different roles? What challenges have you encountered, and how have you been able to overcome them and still be able to pursue your goals, your dreams, to become all that you believe God has destined you to be?
In all honesty, it's not easy being a woman,
I can
because
imagine.
when you get home, people look at you and say, "Mama, I'm hungry."
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
and you have assignments to do, you have other work to do, but you still have to play your role.
sure, sure.
Even at work, being a woman, in the academic space, or generally being a woman and trying to work yourself, to to just grow in the environment that you're in, you have to
Mhm,
put twice the work as
mhm.
compared to men. That's just the
Sure.
reality we live in.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I think that has been the challenge, but somehow, some way, you maneuver. I don't know how to describe it, but you find a way to just make it work.
Sure, sure, sure. And I believe you've been graced, right? You have so much
Yes.
grace upon you. God has really graced you to be able to balance all these roles. You know, I have a note. I believe God cannot trust you with anything that you are not able to handle. Whatever He puts on you, whatever He trusts you with, He knows that He has given you sufficient grace, His sufficient grace to be able to handle all these roles and be able to also maneuver around them. Now, I'm also interested in this one. This one, it's foreign to me. I'm not that familiar with this one. On your profile, you say you are being trained as a logotherapist. What is a logotherapist?
So it's basically a branch of psychology,
Hmm.
but then it deals with you finding meaning of life in everything.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So life is not a coincidence. Things don't just happen in life.
Okay.
You wake up, it's not a coincidence. You go to bed at night, it's not a coincidence.
Hmm.
Coincidence.
Hmm.
Um, where you are right now, it's definitely not a coincidence. The
Sure.
people that you work with, the children that you have, the husband you married to, everything in your life happens for a reason, and there's
Mm,
meaning
mm,
in
mm,
everything that you have, in everything that you live for. There's a meaning. So life is not coincidental, and life is very much spiritual, and there's
mm.
meaning in everything. It's just that we oftentimes we don't sit down and reflect and pay attention
Right.
at the things happening around us, especially when we go through the hardest times.
Mm, mm.
Um, we tend to focus on what is going on around us and miss out on the essence of the meaning of why it's happening.
Mm, very
Because
interesting.
nothing just happens in life.
Yeah, yeah. So what are you hoping to do with this training of being a logotherapist?
Logotherapist.
What
Okay,
yeah, what are you
once
gonna use it for? What are you gonna become out of it?
it's more of a counselor, but
Mm.
you do kind of what psychologists do, but now you digging deeper into the spiritual realm.
Oh, wow. Okay. I've never
So it's
heard
not
of that.
just yeah, it's not just now looking at the psychological, your brain, but
Right.
it's more looking on that spiritual deeper level,
Sure.
finding meaning of why things happened, where the overall you.
Is it a new discipline?
No, it's been there for quite a while, but it
Okay.
just not a lot of people have been trained to do it,
Right.
especially in South Africa.
Sure.
It's more
Sure.
in America.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. So in South Africa, if somebody wants to go that route, not everybody has the same interest. Like you're saying, there's that psychological aspect. There are people who just want to focus on the psychological aspect, but with this one you get to also go deeper into the spiritual aspect of a person. So what advice would you give to some people who may be interested in going that route? What opportunities are available in the academic space for them to venture into to become logotherapists?
Um, I think it's more about counseling. If you love people and you're interested in actually healing people, I think
Mm,
the best way is to enroll for the course, because it takes about 3 years, a full course. But then the thing about this course is not just about the other person. It digs
right.
more as you study. It works on you. You discover so much about yourself.
Mm, wow.
It's a
Wow.
journey.
Sure.
It's a journey where you on your own you heal. You think you're studying, but you actually You're embarking on a journey where
Yeah,
you actually
yeah,
get to
right.
find some parts of your some areas of your life where you actually get to heal.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So where can you find this course?
Um, it's okay. It's mostly in Vienna, but there's a branch here in South Africa.
Mm.
Um, there's a lady. I'll share the contact with you later.
Okay. Sure, sure.
Yes.
Yeah, in case others may be interested in venturing to, because it's such a unique path. It's such a unique space that I think most people are not exploring into, because we've been kind of socialized or taught that if you want to go to a counseling route, the best route is just psychology, and other routes. But this one in particular, most people don't really know about it. So I think it would be great if you could also share contacts for those who may be interested. So here's another thing. You are also a mental health activist. What inspired you to become a mental health activist?
I think my life experiences as a whole is what
Mm,
actually motivated me to be a mental health activist.
sure. Okay.
Um, yeah, because I now believe in us being whole. I now believe in us healing, recovering, um,
Mm,
and actually living out our purpose.
wow.
Because
Wow.
you are unable to live your purpose when you're bruised, when you're wounded, when you're not in a good
Mm,
mental when you're not in a good mental space. Trust me that you're not able to do anything. That
ish.
is why you find people who are depressed or people who are just not in a good mental state. You find a messy house, you find everything just not being in order, because without the mental health, without healthy emotional space, your mental space, every other area suffers.
Mm, mm, mm. You just said something very profound right there, that people who are not in a healthy mental space are not able to even connect with their purpose. They're not able to live their purpose fully. That's very profound. So in other words, most people who are not healthy, who don't have a healthy mental state, it becomes difficult for them to connect with their purpose. They are not able to become all that God destined for them to be. It's like mental not being healthy mentally hinders them. You are not able to fulfill your purpose actually because of not being healthy mentally. So would you say that that's the reason why most people never become all that God intended to be if they're in that state of mental health?
um, I'm just going to make an example. um, you find a 50 or 60-year-old woman who's been in a space of abuse, or a person where things didn't go the way that they had planned things to go.
Mm,
But because they didn't really discover who they are um, in in their 20s, 30s, and whatnot, or somebody who took the route of alcoholism um,
yeah.
to a point where they tried to deal with issues of life.
Mm,
Um, then in the midst of that, because they're not, their emotional space, their mental space is not so good. When they reach
sure.
60 or 65, for example, when they look back, then a person would look with so much regret that
Ah,
I could have. um so when you're not in a good mental state, you're not able to
mm,
make the right choices.
hmm,
And
hmm,
sometimes, I'm not going to be practical. When you're at your lowest, lowest,
mm,
lowest, lowest, sometimes it's hard to even pray.
sure, sure.
Now, imagine
You're
somebody
right.
who now, because when you're in a good mental state, you have more sense of gratitude. But now, in
Mm,
when you don't have when you're in a very bad mental space, some people don't would even say, no, I don't want to pray.
mm,
It's all the same.
mhm.
It's not gonna make any
Sure.
difference,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So some people then, because of maybe being in that toxic space, sometimes
Mm,
they are unable to truly find who they are, unable to find their purpose, and later in life then live with a regret.
I hear you. I hear you. But is there hope for such people?
Definitely there's hope. I
Mm,
believe each day has its each day, with each day there's an opportunity for us to heal, but then you need to decide to say, you know what, things did not happen the way I had planned them, but
mm,
I'm going to choose me. I'm going to choose to do right. Yes, we make wrong choices at some point, but it's
mm.
how you actually make a turn and say, you know what, I'm gonna take a different direction.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
But then
how?
if
How?
you're gonna blame, but then if you're gonna be blaming people, your parents make mistakes, Gile, but you can't blame your parents forever. Even
No.
when you're 40, 50, you can't be blaming your parents for the wrong
Mm,
decisions that they've made.
right,
At some
right.
point, you need to stand your ground and say, you know what, Gile, um, Mama or Papa did some parental mistakes
Right.
when raising us, but
Mm,
you still have to choose your own path.
yeah, 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 yeah,
The
yeah.
problem is when we shift blame, then we don't have take the responsibility for our own
Right.
actions, or yeah.
The problem is if when we want to remain victims, when we want to remain in a state of being victimized and don't want to come out of it and don't even find ways or initiate our own, breakthroughs. You want somebody to come and take you out of the bondage that you are in, but there's nothing that you are willing to do yourself to get out of that space, that position.
Check
What?
Joseph. The brothers
Yeah.
threw him in the pit.
Mm,
He had a
mm,
choice to say, I'm gonna sit in the pit. I'm
I
just
want to
gonna
stay
remain
there.
there. And for him to reach Egypt, he had to make choices. He had to make a
Sure,
decision.
sure, sure.
Um,
Yeah,
and if he stayed bitter, he wouldn't have found his way to
exactly.
be the ruler of Egypt. He didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't remain in bitterness. He didn't
Mm,
become angry. He just
sure.
said, "You know what? It's okay." Even when the brothers came, he said, "You know what? It's okay. Whatever that the
Mm,
enemy has intended for evil, the Lord turns it out for good." You
right.
still decide. You still make a choice out of a bad situation. You still
Mm,
pick,
mm,
take the good.
Sure. Yeah, no. Now let's get into the book. You've written a very powerful, interesting, educational book called Life with a Nas. What a bondage. Life with a Narcissist. Tell us about this book. What motivated you? What really, inspired you, pushed you? What made you see the need for you to write this book, Life with a Mass? How was it birthed? Take us through your journey of that book.
It was the morning of the 27th of February 2023 when the Lord
Mm.
gave me the title of the book. It was in the
Wow.
morning. I was leaving for work, and then
Hmm.
I recorded in my prophetic book. But little did I know that I was actually gonna start the book the same day.
Wow. Wow.
Um, yeah, and then I just started writing. It was done in 2 months.
What year
It's
was
a
it
very
again?
this year, February, the
This
end
year.
of February this year. Yes,
Okay.
it's
Wow.
a small booklet, but with so much information.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
and I think now having to go through the journey of writing that book, um, it's how people don't know about narcissism,
mm,
especially outside the walls of psychology, because we always say, that person is selfish, that person is self centered, that person lacks empathy, but we can't really define it. Um,
mm,
and the
mm.
effect, the mental impact that it has, how it damages people, especially women, um, because, and this stems from the parental child relationship.
Wow. Okay. 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 But tell me, how does it feel like being a victim of narcissism?
I think as a victim, what people don't understand is a narcissist wears a mask.
Mm,
Um, it's a Mr. Perfect guy in a suit,
mm,
holding a great position at work, or is a minister at church. It's the outside cover that they see. Um, then you find the
mm.
same perfect man at home. He's a total monster.
Sure. Wow.
So,
Wow.
and then what victims go through is that when they complain about narcissists, nobody believes them because people hold on to the picture they know. The
Wow.
perfect picture of that guy. Yes. That is why you
Mm,
find in our churches, when an elder or a pastor is a narcissist, and the wife goes, say, the wife goes to the leader and say, or the pastor, the senior pastor, and say, my husband is abusing me emotionally, verbally, or even physical. Because I have heard, someone who's saying to me, she's almost 60 years, that for years and years, decades, a husband beating her, and then they have to show up for church. The man is in
mm,
leadership, you know.
mm,
But then
mm.
when you say to the leadership of the church, then they don't believe you because they only know this man from the outside world. They don't know him
Sure.
as a monster, and then they don't believe you, and then they say you're the one who's victimizing him.
Sure. Sure. Hey.
So this is
So,
why narcissistic abuse victims suffer so much, and now
mm,
they end up being trained to protect the perpetrator.
mm, mm. That's a very, yeah, that's a very bad space to be in, especially when you are a victim, because you can imagine living with such a person and you have this other picture of this person, and you are trying to portray it to people, to other people who know him, who think they know him, when you are living with him most of the time and they don't believe you. That's really hard. I mean, I'm wondering how, I'm trying to put myself in a space of victims of narcissists, how they live their lives every day, being victims and not being understood, the situation that they go through, how they cope through life, living in such a environment, day in, day out. Because you may end up depressed, you may end up even losing your mind if not handled well. What is the best way as a victim of narcissism to handle such a situation, especially when you find yourself in that space where people don't even believe you when you tell other people that this person is like this? How do you get help as a victim of a narcissist?
In my book, I've written this, that with an one of the best ways to deal with a narcissist is to keep records.
Mm.
Keep
Okay.
records of the messages a narcissist sends to you. Keep a record of the emails, whatever that they send to you. Um,
Mm.
and the best way to help yourself is to go to a therapist. You need to go and see someone and just talk about it, because
Sure.
in our culture, when you get married, they say "bekezela mntanam,"
Hey,
meaning
hey,
you must
begezela.
enjoy. You must enjoy.
Kuyatharwa emshadweni.
I embrace that
Yeah,
marriage is
our
hard work.
culture,
Marriage,
our culture sometimes kills us. Really, it
no,
does.
but in
What
reality,
did you
marriage is hard work. In reality, it is
do?
hard
Right.
work, but then you need
Mm.
to put in effort. But then
Mm.
it's a challenge now if you're the one who's putting effort alone,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What
because
happens
now
is that the thing.
you have to make this person happy. You
Mm.
know, so you constantly have to go to a therapist. You need to speak about it. But then in our culture, we're being told, no, you don't tell friends, you don't tell anyone what is happening in your marriage,
Mm.
you know.
Mm.
And then
Mm.
oftentimes, then that's what kills people, because that's what leads to people being depressed.
Right.
And I there was a story that I heard last year, and it broke my heart. That there was this young lady
Mm.
who was married to a narcissist. This is in a pastoral, I mean, in a charismatic church.
Mm.
Um, and the thing is, one of the things that narcissists do, they've they they're very good with infidelity. They thrive in infidelity. Yes.
Mm.
Um, so this young lady was highly pregnant, and they would go to church. When they go to church, they pull up that image. After church, after they just drive out of the church, the guy now she would leave the guy by the side of the road, and he catches a taxi back to the girlfriend. But then every Sunday
Mm.
they meet for the perfect picture, you know. Um,
Mm. 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 My goodness.
yeah.
Sure.
So
They're
in
very
in
good at pretending.
they what?
I'm saying they're very good at pretending.
Pretty much so, because they still have to maintain the perfect image of
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because for them, they don't acknowledge vulnerability, they don't acknowledge weaknesses. For them, they're just perfect, and
Mm.
you're not supposed to criticize them, because when you criticize them, that's when you are on the wrong end with them.
Mm.
So as a
Mm.
result, because they're not good, they're not being trained or shaped for conflict resolution, then
Mm.
what they do is they always give you silent treatment. That's how they
Sure.
thrive.
Sure. Sure.
And
You said
silent
something.
treatment on its own is an
Yeah.
abuse.
It is. It is. It is. Wow. 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 Now, maybe there's somebody listening to you, right? And they may not even be conscious or aware that they are in a narcissistic relationship. How do you identify a narcissist? How do you know that you are in a relationship or married to one?
They lie to you. That's number one.
Okay.
They manipulate you.
Wow.
They
Sure.
they lack empathy. That's just the way they are.
Mm, mm,
Um, they don't take any responsibility, and they will always blame you for everything.
mm, 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 mm,
And then then you're always in this confused world. It's like you're confused because one moment a person says, verbally abuses you, like demeans
Mm,
you. You are nothing. You're nothing
mm.
without me. Um, I was saying to this
So,
other
so,
lady
so
just recently.
they're very good in this pull down syndrome. They excel in this pull
In my
down
book,
syndrome.
I describe that narcissists don't know what love is.
Mm.
So for them, love is interpreted as using you.
A.
So yeah, and the objective of a narcissist is to destroy you,
Mm,
and they do it strategically. I
mm,
was talking to my cousin recently, and I was saying how sad it is that you find a couple staying in a very beautiful mansion.
mm,
Um, a man who's very wealthy and says to the wife, "You don't need to work, sweetheart."
mm, mm.
I mean, every woman wants to be spoiled, but then it would be actually to control the woman, not not
Right,
to take
right,
care of the woman.
right.
And then you find that years later, and then even down the few years down the line, that same man who said you should not work would be the same man that says, "Oh, you are nothing," you know.
Mm, mm. Ay,
But
ah, yeah,
so
that's
the objective of narcissists is to see you destroyed, to see you not accomplishing what you're supposed to do to be. And for them, as long as it doesn't benefit them, you're not going to be able to go back to school if it doesn't benefit them.
mm.
They will
It's all about
discourage you. Yes, it's all about them. They will discourage you, but then they will do it strategically.
them.
But
Mm,
honey, you don't have to go to school. I can take care of you. Honey, you don't need to go to school, man. I'm here. I can support you. Name the price. I'll just take care of you. But then you realize that you're actually being controlled, being
mm.
manipulated. It had nothing to do. Yes. And then once you become so dependent on them, then they drop you like a ball.
Sure, here,
That's
here.
just how they are.
Mm, mm,
And that is
mm.
why victims find it hard to leave because now they are dependent, especially
Right.
financially.
You. Hmm,
And
hmm.
that is why when they are bruised emotionally, mentally, I wrote in my book that is, you should never ever tell an abused person to leave the relationship
Mm,
because
mm,
they won't hear you.
hmm. They
They won't
won't.
hear
They
you.
won't.
Yes.
Sure.
And what they
It's like
do is,
they've been hypnotized or something.
yes.
Eh?
And then what they do as well is, um, what narcissists also do is they isolate you from your friends, your family, because they are afraid that your friends and families will give you a different perspective, a
Right,
different
right.
view of life, which will work against him. So they
Mm,
isolate you, yes, so that you become dependent on him. That is why victims find it hard because they have nowhere to go. They've cut
sure.
friends, they've cut family, they've cut a whole lot of people, and then it becomes difficult to go back to the same people.
Hmm.
They're very, very strategic at doing this.
Sure. You mentioned something on this synopsis that sent on the book, saying that narcissists are pretty much aware of what they do to other people because their objective is to hurt and destroy you. So, in other words, they are aware and they do it intentional.
So they see it. And then when you tell them you're doing one, two, three, four, they then shift. They take the situation and shift it and make it as if it's you who caused the situation when it's
Mm,
them. So that you're the one apologizing to them.
sure, sure.
That is why victims find themselves saying, "Oh, sorry, honey, I did not mean to do that." But it was actually not the victim's fault.
Mm. That's very bad, hey?
And
That's
it
very,
works on your
especially
mental health. It
right, right.
damages you.
It does. But as we are about to close our conversation, can you please advise how do you get out of a narcissistic relationship if you find yourself being a victim of this kind of behavior, this kind of situation? How do you get out of that situation? And you can even maybe try to tie it from your own experience of how you were able to be free from that kind of an experience to be where you are right now, so that you can help other people who may be going through what you're going through. They are victims, but they don't even know how to get out of the situation. What can you say to them?
I think first and foremost is to first find a therapist so that
Mm,
before you leave, you work on healing mentally, emotionally. Be in the space that when you leave,
okay.
um, you have decided that, you know what, I want to leave this. But
You
then you
live
also need,
from the right space.
yes, you leave from the right space. And then you also
Right.
sit down and draw up a financial plan for yourself. Especially if you
Mm,
find yourself that you're not working, you are dependent on this man. If it takes you to go back home and sell tomatoes, do that if that is one of
mm,
the things that will lift you up. Because
sure,
the reason why
sure.
most people tend to go back to the narcissist, it's because they have not um, developed a financial plan for themselves, because they know a narcissist will be able to buy um, clothes or whatever for the kids, but then they would have to use you to be able to help the kids. So
Mm,
like in my book, I did say that you can't co-parent with a narcissist. That is why I'm saying that
hmm,
when you leave, you need to leave from a healthy space for yourself.
right, right,
Because
right.
um, one thing about narcissists is, I think if have you seen a child at the mall or in a store that pulls tantrums? That's
Mm.
how a narcissist is, but it's now in an adult form.
Hmm. Hmm.
They yeah
Wow.
they will always pull tantrums and try to find your attention. So before you leave, this is my advice: find therapy, seek for therapy, work on your emotional, your mental state. Then from there, work
Mm.
out your financial plan so that you still don't become dependent on this person, because you don't want to find yourself, it's you're heading for Christmas and this person has told you that he's going to buy Christmas clothes for the kids, and then boom, drops you like that, and doesn't get to buy the clothes. What do you do? Because the kids still want to the clothes. What are you gonna do?
Right. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Eish, eish.
Because
So
I
it's a
always
journey.
say
Yeah. Mm.
that it's I'd rather find something to sell, even if it's, you know, selling something or doing something with your life. If it takes you
Mm.
to bake something and stand by the road and sell the cookies in the morning, as long as at the end of the day you can buy bread for your kids,
Oh.
let it be.
Mm.
But empower yourself as a woman.
Hmm. That's the best advice you can give. That's the
So
best, you know.
choose
Yeah.
you over everything.
Yeah, choose you first. Pick up yourself first and make sure that you are whole, you are complete, in your on your own before you can even exit. You can have an exit plan. Dr. K, our
But
time
then
is
don't
up.
stay long. But don't stay long anyway. As you
Okay.
exit, don't keep on postponing and say, I will leave in October, I will leave next year. Before you
Yeah.
know it, you're gonna leave as a corpse.
You'll be destroyed. You'll be destroyed. Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. K. Our time is actually, we have overlapped our time. This is such an interesting subject, but I believe that if they want to know more about what this is all about, what like the kind of what the life with a narcissist is like, they should just get a book. Let them get the book so that they can get the gist of everything. And last but not least, where can they get the copy of the book? How can they contact you if they need this great book that you have written to educate themselves?
I'm available on social media. On Facebook, I'm available as Catmot,
Mm,
KAT space MOT. On TikTok, I am available as at drkspeaks.co.za.
okay,
Um, and then, yeah, they can just inbox me, but I can also share my WhatsApp number.
please do.
It's +27 81 857 4162.
Okay.
+27 81 857 4162.
Mm. Are you also available to speak on the subject or maybe
Yes,
on like mental health issues?
I get in. I do. I get invited to various events where I speak.
And how can they book you for that?
They can send me a WhatsApp or inbox me via Instagram or Facebook or TikTok.
Okay. From the very same contacts that you have just shared, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Dr. K. It's been such a pleasure. I had fun chatting with you, and
Thank you
I've
so much.
personally been empowered also regarding life with a narcissist. At least now I'm clued up. I know what a narcissist is and how to handle a narcissist, what signs to look for, and all that, and also know what victims of narcissism have to go through. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. May God continue to use you. May God continue to open doors for you and enlarge your territory as you continue to educate people and empower them on mental health and especially this subject of narcissism. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you for
Well,
having me.
thank you. That's where we leave it. That was Dr. K, none other than Dr. K, talking to us about a new book that she has just written, Life with a Narcissist. Make sure you get the book so that you can get more empowered and so that you can also know how to handle the issue of narcissism. Until next time, this is me, Naomi Wesi, saying, may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and give you peace. Till we meet again tomorrow next time, right here on Africa USA Radio. Shalom, shalom.